Thank you so much for joining me up here so that we can try and expound on the energy and energy uses in Kenya and Africa and what the opportunities are here. Maybe you can start by introducing yourself to the attendees and tell us more about what your organization does.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to appreciate this session, and I want to appreciate also to have time to come and to do a presentation. My name is Arthur Okwemba Peywa. I'm an energy manager for New KCC, a certified energy manager. I also do carbon footprint analyst. I want to say that New KCC is a dairy industry, doing quite a lot on dairy products. We are good in fermented milk, and those who know Mala is Maziwa Lala. We combine it to bring it to call it Mala. So it's a KCC brand. We have yogurts, and if you have tasted La yogurt, it's a true fruit. UKCC has so many factories or plants across the country, and we collect by day. We are working on about 300,000 liters a day, and we do our marketing in Africa, in East Africa, and in Kenya. On energy, we have actually done quite a lot to do business sustainability, which I'll be mentioning. Just precisely as an energy manager, we've done quite a lot on renewable energy. We've done quite on thermal energy, and I'll be mentioning quite a number of them here and how we look at data and data management. Thank you.
So my name is Carol Koech. I run the operations for Shneider Electric for East Africa. Shneider Electric is an energy management and industrial automation corporation. We are a global company. And today, being a sustainability conversation, Schneider has been named the world's most sustainable corporation. For the last 10 years, we've been in the top 10. And in 2021, we were at the top. So we understand sustainability. We speak it. We also help our customers on their sustainability journey. And we focus that a lot on efficiency for both energy and process. And we believe that saving what we already have produced is cheaper and easier than producing new energy. And we'll talk about how we do that closer home and some of the work that we've done with manufacturers. I know energy is a very big topic. For most of you that run operations, the cost of energy is increasing. And I also know that many of you are investing in solar to try and lower the cost of energy. We will see how that can be better if you get data out of your process.
My name is Michael Orangi. I'm the country director for Rainforest Alliance, Kenya and Tanzania. Rainforest Alliance is a global non-government organization that works in the space of agriculture, forestry, and human rights. And basically, we have this vision of making this world a better place where the people and nature thrive in harmony as our main vision. But we work in the space of certification. I'm sure most of you who have been here since morning, you've heard of Rainforest Alliance certification. So we have a standard that is global, and we certify producers and supply chain actors equally on sustainable ways of production and doing business, and also taking care of the environment, biodiversity, the climate, and of course human rights and the livelihoods of the farmers, the workers, and the people who are involved in the various supply chains. So in addition to certification work, we also do programs and projects beyond what we call compliance issues, that is certification issues. So we also develop proposals and support cooperatives, factories, and communities and landscapes with various programs. And today, speaking about sustainability and specifically this particular topic on renewable energy, we also, source for funding and support various certified organizations in upholding and using more sustainable, renewable and clean sources of energy, both industrial and domestic, especially when it comes to briquettes or commercial briquettes, pellets, and use of improved cook stoves, either for boilers or for domestic use. So that's the space we are in, and of course, we work across various supply chains, that is tea, coffee, cocoa, bananas, various fruits, herbs and spices, palm oil, name them. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, my panelists, for that brief but very important information concerning your backgrounds. Allow me to start with you, Carol. As somebody who is in the field of doing a lot of, supplying equipment in the energy sector, please describe for me your company goals, aspirations in the renewable energy sector, especially in Africa.
So I'm going to answer your question a bit differently because we play across all the energy sources, not only renewable. And our role in the value chain of energy is the management of it. And so what we do is we help our customers save energy. And how do we do that? I'm going to tell a small case study of what we've done with some of the customers. So today in Kenya, we are working through a network of local partners that we have trained and developed their capacity to deploy our solutions. And we recently partnered with the Kenya Association of Manufacturers to sponsor one of their awards during the Energy Management Awards that just got concluded. And we are focusing on digitization. So this is how we drive the energy efficiency conversation. And so we work with manufacturers and any other player in the industry that uses energy. So we say wherever energy is, we are there to support. And I'll just give a small example of a tea industry that we worked with recently. This tea company had invested in a solar plant and wanted to, or was wondering why their energy bills was not coming down despite investing in a solar plant. So our job was to go and help them understand that. And we do that by ensuring that we get measurements across the process. We do have hardware for measurements, and we have software to analyze and basically get insights from the energy usage in the process. And some of the discoveries or the insights that we got from that exercise was very interesting. We discovered, for example, that the energy usage during midday was lowest in their process. And it is because they used to do the shift change during that time. And for those of you that have solar, you would know that also the energy production from a solar perspective would be highest at midday, because that is probably when you have the highest irradiation. So you can imagine your usage is lowest and your production is highest. So you're losing a lot of energy around that time. So by just shifting the time they change the shift from midday to evening, they were able to save and follow their load with the production of solar. So that's just one of the things they made. So that did not require any additional investment. It was just a shift in process from the time of changing the shift. One other discovery that we made was that there was a very high consumption of energy at night in one process. And we discovered that the employees would leave the fans running overnight in a process that was not useful at night. So they put in place a new control system to switch off the fans before they leave. And with that, they had actually planned to invest in an additional solar capacity because they were running to save, more energy. But after they made these small shifts in process, they realized that they did not need to invest anymore. And in fact, their costs came down by between 50 and 70%. I'm sure with the current energy tariffs, probably that number is higher. So what we do is ensure that you understand where your energy is going in your process. So we meter at least your major energy consumers and really understand and get insights from it using our software. And that's really a good example to use, and that's what we do by helping our customers. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol, for that. So both from a software and a hardware perspective, that's very interesting. I will go to Arthur. As a very heavy energy consumer, you know, in manufacturing, ever since, KCC is like one of the first milk processing companies we have here. So as an energy consumer, just paint for me a picture of some of the initiatives you have undertaken to lower your energy bills, yes, but then also try and progress with the new conversation about sustainability, renewable energy, to basically maintain a good level of cost, to lower your cost of production and ensure a good return on investment to your shareholders.
Thank you. I want to mention that the first place we start first was by checking the energy audits. Energy audits gave us a map on where we want exactly to go. When we took an energy audit, we found that, of course, the energy audit reports that when you are told to invest, possibly you may not be having the same finances to do that. So on electricity, what we've done, number one is that the energy audit. Number two is that we have looked at the efficiency of the equipment. When Kenya Power says that consume, you either consume or you pay. We said we want to consume, but we have first to reduce the cost of energy. What did you do here? Number one was that we are having very high refrigeration systems that were running at very high costs. We have a compressor, for example, that runs 200 kilowatts. And for you to reduce the energy, we had now to first of all run it efficiently. Try to run every system efficiently. The first thing first was just to work on condensation systems. And when you make a condenser very clean, for example, if you are running a car and you're having a very dirty radiator, you are going to have difficulties with system management. And we just had to work on condensation system alone by cleaning. And that one alone, we had to manage to be stopping the compressor the whole day for 8 hours. And that saving, 200 kilowatts times 1 kilowatt, 1 hour is 200 kilowatt hour, multiplied by a tariff of about 18 Kenya shillings. You find that when you are stopping for 8 hours, the savings were huge. This one had to encourage us to now go for a more a new technology compressor system. Just giving one example, a more compressor technology system which has a soft starting, a variable speed drive, and then this compressor can run 100%, but it's only running at 30% capacity. So realize that the savings has been very, very enormous. And I can say that for that alone, in electricity, for that plant alone, we've been saving about 2 million per month. I would like to look at the issue of electricity again. Of course, we changed all the systems to LEDs, variable speed drives, and with the total integration, two items that were consuming most of our power was air compressor and refrigeration system. And these are some of the systems that we had to put smart metering. When you don't have data, you cannot mitigate anything. So we had to put a smart metering on all of them. And in the morning or any time you open your laptop, you check the dashboard and see how are we consuming and what is the Kenya shillings that you are consuming per day. Then we share them with the local team. And from that awareness alone, everybody is aware that this is the higher consumer. So when you tell everybody, and we had now to multiply that to the whole organization, and you see the savings is quite enormous. We have also on electricity carried out on renewable energy, and we are talking of solar. Of course, she talked about solar. And the solar, first of all, is that the power that we get from Kenya Power is quite unstable. Quite so many flickers, and you saw one flicker today. when he was doing a presentation. So there are quite so many flickers, And when you are doing UHT, heat-treated milk, 1 flicker, it means that the process has to go back 3 hours before you resume production. In one location, we had to put a UPS. But UPS only does not save, but it mitigates the flicker. So the next location, we said, okay, let us go solar. And when we went solar, we had to do a power storage also. So the storage capacity could sustain us for 2 hours. That means running the whole plant on batteries. And remember, when we were going to this production, we are running on generator, because generator was our main power now. Because flickers you don't run. So we were running on generator. The generator, one day, for 14 hours, it consumes about 750 liters of diesel. When you multiply with the current price in that location of about 165, you find that we are spending more than 3,500,000, which was quite expensive. With the batteries alone, we've shaded away the diesel system. So already we are shading away the diesel system. But remember, the kilowatt we are paying on solar is also 9 shillings and 20 cents, VAT inclusive, as compared to Kenya Power at 28 shillings. So you get the difference. You find that now with renewable energy, we are ready to do business sustainability. Let me not tire you with electricity, but also let me bring you to thermal energy. Thermal energy, and he has talked about the briquette, and we are happy that we are doing also biomass boilers. Initially, we are using HF for brown energy. The brown energy was consuming quite a lot of money. Per liter now, they are selling about 109 shillings in one of the locations. But we are buying steam at 4 shillings and 70 cents per kg. Steam, our costs are constant. They are not varying. So we had to put 4 boilers in one of our more consuming locations. And the savings I can tell you, per month we are saving more than 7 million as compared to HFO. So you realize that when you do these mitigations, and especially the biomass boilers, they have really brought in quite a number of savings. How are we mitigating on forestation? Because somebody is going to ask that question. We're also encouraging farmers who are actually close. They're coming up with, they're the ones who are selling us the wood. But we've also encouraged them to start now planting bamboo forest. And bamboo forest is quite good, very friendly, it grows very fast. It has a high energy conversion. So when you use it as wood, it's quite good. And we are looking at carbon footprint and carbon credit mitigation also with the farmers. As we journey this, because now the next phase is how are we going to bring in carbon footprint with the farmers. Let me mention about water so that I don't possibly I take this. Water also has been a cost, and we are looking at business sustainability across range. We are also recycling water. At times we were just cleaning our systems before a vehicle goes to collect the next consignment of milk, because we collect from areas and then bring to processing plants. It has to be cleaned, sanitized with high temperature waters, and then the water used to go down. But now we are recycling the water. For example, in our place in Dandora, we are using the same water to clean the crates, so that we are now reusing the same energy now to recycle it back. I would pause there, possibly for more initiatives. But what are we talking about? We are talking that we are looking at how do we reduce on inflation? Because what is affecting us is inflation, the whole country, and we want to fight inflation so that we compete. Africa is becoming one market, but we have to be focused. Thank you.
Thank you, Arthur, for that very comprehensive picture of the kind of activities or initiatives that KCC has put on board to try and be a little bit more sustainable. I will go to Michael. It's known that business and environment really are not good friends. They cannot coexist. But we know with the new conversational narrative we are having about sustainability, it's actually achievable. I think he has mentioned it here, that when they started to measure items or things in terms of monetary value, all of a sudden businesses realize things can be done. They look at the savings in money terms and realize, you know what, if we achieve this, then, you know, at the end of the year, we do get our bonus. At the end of the year, we do open up a new branch. We hire more people. So it ends up being a win-win for both the organization and the community. So just explain to us how you think Rainforest Alliance comes in to try and then help both the energy, the manufacturers, people in the business sector, merge very well or live in the same ecosystem with the communities that they do serve.
Thank you for that question. Just to add to what my colleagues have mentioned, actually that is what as Rainforest Alliance standard does. So what we do is that in our standard, what we call the Rainforest Alliance Sustainable Agriculture Standard, we have various requirements that run across from the management aspects of a certified organization, right through the traceability of the product from farm to cup or to plate. Also issues to do with shared responsibility across the value chain, the farming aspects of that particular crop or sector that is being certified, but also issues around human rights, workers' rights. Most importantly, on the environment aspect, that is where we cover the energy aspect. So we have requirements that require that any organization that is going to seek for Rainforest Alliance certification must do an energy audit. So they have to understand where they are, what are the costs like, and then have a plan, what we call a mitigation plan, on how to reduce on energy wastage, but also monitor the energy utilization over years. And what we demand is that we need to see some improvement in terms of energy utilization, and that's a very key, what we call a core requirement in our certification program. But beyond that, we also ask organizations that they need to do some measurement on their carbon footprint, so that they also do reduction in terms of what probably they emit from their production system and what they need to do so as to reduce the same and go towards what we call carbon neutral. So in terms of what is contained in our standard, is mandatory that before an organization becomes certified, they have to put all those measures in place. But beyond the standard, like I mentioned, that we also support certificate holders to do those energy projects. For instance, I want to borrow from what Koech mentioned, Carol. So we've also set up some study along the tea value chain, where we did a baseline survey and discovered, for example, that an average tea processing company uses around 30,000 cubic meters, of course, cubic meters of firewood in their boiling or generation of energy in a year. And that translates to around 90,000 mature trees in a year. So our thinking was, is that really sustainable? I mean, if we continue cutting down trees and rely on good energy for the boilers, is that really sustainable? So we went ahead and realized also that in most of these manufacturing companies, energy costs, I think, is the highest in terms of when you categorize these expenses for various cost centers. The energy costs takes about 22% of their total cost of producing their tea or running the company in a year. And out of that 22%, 50% is good energy. So the kind of firewood that is cut to put into boilers to generate steam and dries either the green leaf, and dries the made tea to change the kind of tea that we normally buy in the market as black from the green tea that is black from the fields. And that is quite enormous and very detrimental to the environment. So what we did was to support what we call a central processing or production facility that will manufacture commercial briquettes. You know, use any other wastes that can be formed and be used as a piece of good to replace the actual good that is being cut from the forests. So we supported a company in Kisumu that utilizes bagasse from sugarcane. I mean, that's a lot of, if you go to these sugar companies, you'll find a lot of, I mean, heaps, mountains and hills of bagasse, which is wasted and rotting. And we used that to compress and form commercial briquettes that are a bit reasonable and good size that can be used in boilers. But also alongside that, we were supporting also in production of, household briquettes and pellets that could also be used together with improved cookstoves for household centers. So we were working with around 12 factories, but at the end of the program, which ended last year, we ended up convincing that indeed, if you went briquette way, one, there'll be a sustainability in terms of saving the forests, looking at the number of trees that are going into the boilers, but also reduction in terms of the energy costs. When we were using, for example, 20-80 ratio of briquettes versus firewood, the cost energy went down by 10%. And there was savings of about 2.3% in terms of the Kenyan shillings per kilogram of made tea. And that still speaks a lot to when it comes to figures and savings in terms of energy. But also in terms of households, we worked with the local communities to form what we call household energy centers that could use normal available waste materials in the farms, branches, peppers, and everything else in the farm in form of waste. And that will be carbonized and also be formed into briquettes. Either sometimes some use waste, for example, from charcoal dust, but even carbonizing just normal farm waste could still be used with the compressors to form the household briquettes that were being used for household centers. And indeed, we also realized that farmers documented that they are saving in terms of the energy that they use. If they used kerosene and firewood and stuff, they were saving 40% of their household energy utilization, but also quite a number of other benefits in terms of health of the workers or of the mothers who normally cook. And some of them were even confessing that they were experiencing asthma, but when they started using briquettes and other solar products, but as also even actually biogas, they no longer experience those health problems they used to experience. So that is how we've incorporated both commercial producing companies in terms of looking at their energy in our standard in the beyond certification or beyond compliance issues and working with the landscapes and communities in the household energy centers. But also, in addition to that, we realized that even in terms of, upscaling and taking the technologies across board to communities, we needed to create centers, what we are calling last mile entrepreneurs. So the people who connect the households with the production centers of these briquettes and bellets. And somehow we realized that there are some people who were jobless, or some people who were selling charcoal, or who were going to the forest and selling firewood, but now turned into doing business, being the connectors between the households and the manufacturers of these briquettes in terms of promoting the same usage of briquettes for the households, but also using the improved cookstoves for their households. So that way also creating some form of employment
Even in the central processing facility, we created around 82 jobs, and 80% of that was women and youth. So that is basically how, us as an organization, we've kind of done our interventions, especially in the manufacturing and household fronts. Thanks.
Thank you so much. That was very informative. I liked the way you touched both from the consumer side, the different types of energies, including biogas, which is still really has so much potential even in Kenya, but still remains untapped. I just had a few months ago an opportunity to interact with a leading Israeli biogas producer. And even with that, his main target was actually small-scale dairy farmers, who are about 3 million, and already he had just installed about 1,500. Yet, biogas is not new in Kenya, but because of the previous negative experiences local consumers had, actually some shunned it away. But with this, they realized only dairy scale farmers could actually produce so much, because with that, once you buy the kit, you fill it, it gives you almost up to five hours a day for cooking. So a lot of those negative stuff that come out, smoking, very bad smoke, having to fetch firewood, unreliable source of energy because you cannot go and fetch firewood in the middle of the night, were pretty important. So I think there's still so much that can be done in that area. And thank you for highlighting the different sources. So I think this is going to be general, both from you as a consumer, heavy consumer, and you, Carol, as a leading manufacturer in that industry. If you could shed for me opportunities for investment in the renewable energy transition in Africa, both from a private sector as well as a public sector, and how deep we have to go, or how much partnerships we have to build so that we make these opportunities scalable and available for the users.
Let me go. So I probably will continue to focus on the need to be informed, especially for manufacturers, before making renewable energy decisions. I think today we have a lot of, I'd say, rush to install additional generation, own generation, and sometimes we make these decisions without really understanding what is inside our black box, which is our manufacturing facility. I think the need to be informed is very important, and there are technologies available to help you understand how your energy requirements are and also how your consumption is. There could be an opportunity to tweak your process to save even before you invest. So I think for me, the message to all manufacturers, and I know all of us are suffering from the high cost of energy, is to really look deeper, use available technologies to understand and see what can you do to save before you start investing to generate. I think that would be the steps I would recommend.
Thank you very much again. Mine, I'll look at, when we are looking at this scaling up, we are looking at the incentives that we get either from the government or how we inform the government on incentives. We will look at, for example, tax credit on micro energy. For example, if you are doing solar system, there is tax credit on that. There is tax credit on storage. That is what we're calling electric power storage. And we are looking at what is the incentive do we have. Now, when it comes to tax credit, if you used a vehicle that is using electric, how are you being, what is the subsidy for that? And when you go to global range, everybody is being subsidized. But the question is, where is this money for tax credit? Yes, the money is now in the government. We've gone for let us call the meetings that help people to mitigate on carbon footprint. But at the end of the day, we may not be aware that there is the initiatives to have this. So if there was a government, somebody, I would ask him, where are these carbon credits and where are they sitting? Because if there was any here, you should tell us where they sitting. Yes, it is there. But let me say this. You don't need to look at the government. You look at how can you start and grow. Us, we are 100% parastatal. But we say that as a parastatal, we have to move forward. And we need to lead for others also, private sectors to look at it. Yes, we have a lot of delays in decision making. But when you make your system efficient and the people start seeing the fruits, and fruits are just low-hanging fruits. That's where we begin this. So the low-hanging fruit is that how much are you looking at that light? Are you switching off the lights if you want to do it? Somebody has left, if you left a running tap, somebody will switch it off. But when you leave a bulb running, somebody does not know that it is wasting energy. So these are the small running hanging fruits. For example, let me give you an example. When you are brushing teeth, most people open the tap and start brushing teeth. Then they continuously brush the teeth as the tap is running. When they finish, now they take one kukul, the second one, and then close the tap. You've just been running water and not brushing the teeth. So this is the sound mind. We need to change ourselves. What is our awareness? And I've found that mostly staff, people are the challenge, not even the medication. Because you need to create enough awareness, and part-time. It's just like an advertisement. They'll tell you this water costs this, and they still bring the same until you get it. So my initiative is that first, let us start with working with the human being. That is where the challenge is. The challenge are not more with the efficiencies, but with the human. We've done, if you find that the system is costing, if you find, I took you to one of our factories, we had water guns. And you know, when you tell somebody to use a water gun, initially they used to put water under the tunnel when they are cleaning. And somebody continuously is cleaning, but the water is running. So we introduced the water guns. But at the end of the day, you'll find that even the water guns are mismanaged. So we said we are not going to buy water guns, we are going to design our water guns. So we designed our water guns, and this design is simple, just a tap and a nozzle. So the nozzle is even much smaller as compared to water gun. But now, it is cheaper to buy it. So what we are saying is that let us go for the most simple innovations that are helping us. And number two is that in processes, let us look at how much are we producing per kilowatt hour. That is what we measure, the intensity of measure. What is the cost per kilowatt hour? What is the cost per meter cubed of water? And we always check liters of milk per liters of water. We always take how many, liters of milk did you do per kilowatt hour. So if it is shifting, and we've put a lot of targets for everybody, you can see it green, you can see it red. So that when you are seeing it red, we come and sit with you and discuss what is happening. So this is the way to project. And you find that sustainability, now Africa is becoming one market. And you can see the competitions, Uganda, Tanzania, and they are also coming in. But how do we create a sustainable environment for ourselves? That is the question we ask. As a parastatal, our projection is everybody now is aware that there is energy saving, and if you touch a tap, the owner will come. And that is the owner is me. So, but everybody now is creating awareness. You get from the board, the management, and we, for example, when we are putting the first solar in one of our plants, we have decided to put the other 4, and we're going to do it one time. But how do we get the financing? That is a question also. Financing is quite challenging. But we say this, we go for PPP programs where we give you space, do the investment, we have an agreement, and then us on day one, we start getting the savings. Because we just gave you, for example, the solar system. 1, it has stabilized our power. Number 2, we are not cleaning, because I said UHT, if you have to interrupt one interruption, you have to clean 3 times. I mean, you have to run 3 hours cleaning. Supposing you start and then there is another power interruption, you go again to cleaning. And that one now is shaded out. That cost is out. So you realize that there is a lot of dynamism when you are coming to each operation or each location. But we just need to look at the system. Thank God that I've also done quite a lot in energy. So we go to look at the system, we go to sit with the team, and now we find what is the best solution that we can come up here. Then we now build on the blocks. And thank God, the only other thing is that when the savings are realized, the board also helps you quite a lot. And management is quite in support of this. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for that. I think now I'll open in the next 5 minutes for any questions from the audience.
Thank you for that fascinating panel on energy. My question is to Carol. You spoke about the fact that you upgrade conventional energy systems into ones that use less energy. And you have a metered system for that so that you're able to quantify how much energy has been saved by an organization, right? So, of late, our team has been going into the carbon credit market, trying to understand what the president said about us being able to make money out of energy savings and carbon credits. And one of the things that we've noticed is a lot of the projects that people talk about in terms of carbon credits are manure-based. Either it's biogas and stuff like that. But for an organization like us, we'd like to know, this energy savings that we get, is it possible to get like an energy savings certificate? And 2, is it something that is tradable on the carbon credit market? And 3, being an expert in the energy space, do you know people who are willing to upfront finance organizations that are willing to go into that space? Because we are finding that a lot of local organizations, when you talk about carbon credit financing or energy financing, they look at you like you've lost something. So are there people that you can actually say, if you go to this bank or you go to this organization, they're actually going to finance this for you? That's it.
Yes, sir. My name is Moses. I'm working for Domans. The only question goes to Mike regarding Rainforest lands certification. In the companies that have applied this certification, there is Rainforest seal, the label that is used in packaging. This seal indicates that the farmers and the foresters have made efforts to ensure that the 3 Ps, that is the people, the planet, and prosperity, are in harmony. So my question is, how is the shared responsibility or whatever comes out in terms of sustainability differential helping the environment, especially in terms of, you mentioned the use of firewood. What are the initiatives to reduce use of cutting of trees? Yes, that's the question. Thank you.
My name is Grace. I work in a mill, and we work with the Zero Millers Association. So we are looking at energy sustainability and how we can reduce the production cost by sustaining our maybe production cost by reducing the energy that we take in. And I'm looking at some industries, like the tea industry. I've worked in the tea industry and I've worked in the juice industry. They are able to use other sources of energy so that they can be incorporated into the production process. E.g., the juice industry, after extracting the mangoes, they remain with the seed and the outer cover, and then they use it again into the boiler. At least that one makes it easier for them to have another source of energy, which is very easy for the juice industry. Also, for the tea industry, Mr. Mike tackled about using of the trees. They cut the logs. I've seen it western and in the Kisii region. They cut the trees, also which supplements them in their steam that they use. Now here in the milling industry, which is also in the food sector, which energy system will you incorporate? For example, I come from United Millers. We run like a 240-ton miller. And we don't have any other source that can be used, because you can't tell me like the solar energy can be used as another alternative of energy to run a 240-ton mill. Which other source can be used? Because it's very difficult for some other food industry to have an alternative source. Please, I want to understand that part.
Thank you so much for those questions, very good questions. Maybe we can start with you, Carol, item concerning carbon credits.
So thank you very much, Waithera, for your question. So first of all, we do not generate energy. I wanted to make that very clear. The role we play at Shneider Electric is to help you manage the energy. So whatever source of energy you have, if it's coming from the grid or from your own generation, we help you to manage it better and save by using it efficiently. So maybe I was not clear. The only way to be efficient, and this also will respond to your question, Grace, around really ensuring that your process is designed in such a way that there's no wastage of energy. And some of the things, I didn't want to go into some technical conversation, but some of the things that you probably will need to do is to understand in your process, which is your highest energy consumer. In the mill, for example, have you metered your large loads? And do you understand the behavior of those loads? Because the energy you're consuming today could be less. You may not have alternatives, you may have, it depends. But the question is, for whatever source you have, are you using it efficiently? I'm not an expert in the carbon market, neither do I know whether you can trade the energy savings for carbon credits. I cannot respond to that. I'm not an expert. I hope there's an expert in the room who can help. However, our conversation really around energy savings for most organizations is to make your process more efficient and therefore more sustainable, because you're not wasting energy. Because remember, wasted energy is money in the bottom line, but could also have environmental impact, depending on the source of energy. If it's energy from thermal sources, for example, and you're wasting it, it means you're putting more carbon in the environment. So that is where we come from a sustainability aspect, to say whatever source you have, let's be efficient in its use.
Thank you, Carol. Maybe I can go next. In terms of, the same question probably on sources of funding. There are so many organizations that are, donating funds actually for investment in renewable energy field. I know, of course, like the African Development Fund, they have various schemes on how to support any investments, any initiatives on renewable energy, and they have quite a number of programs under that. You talk of even the World Bank itself, through the IFC, they have quite a number of programs that support investments in renewable energy. You talk of the Global Environment Facility, GEF. I mean, they have always advertised for calls on funding opportunities for investments in renewable energy. African Climate Fund, there are quite a number. You can see me separate privately to give you the list. It's endless. There are so many organizations, banks that are out there that are promising to advance either grants. Some of them could be in terms of co-funding, where they need to see that you are investing this much and they want you to match that particular amount of funding for them to support you. We also have the donor community. Like our program was funded by IKEA Foundation, which is now, of course, changed the focus from biomass supporting any funding and programs in biomass, and they are more focused into solar programs, and it's available. So that is in terms of the funding. The question around our sustainability standard and the shared responsibility front in terms of support for certificate holders in terms of maintaining their sustainability agenda and reducing the cutting of trees. What we have put in our standard is that, of course, we appreciate the value chain, how it goes, right from the farm, the processing, transportation, the auction, for example, issues and probably trade elements, and up to the buyers and blenders, for example, for tea or for coffee, and the retailers and wholesalers or supermarkets that sell these certified products that have probably the Rainforest Alliance seal on those products. So what we have also provided in our standard is that the consumers or the blenders or the retailers that do business based on these particular products that have been Rainforest Alliance certified, they invest into the producer's work. So in a way that is well streamlined, in that whatever volumes that they trade using the seal for Rainforest Alliance, because they are able to access markets to those buyers who really uphold the issues around sustainability, and of course those products are sold at premium prices. So we have a requirement that requires that those retailers, those brand owners, those blenders pay back in terms of sustainability differential, and also in a form of sustainability investments, where they pay agreed amounts per kilogram of the certified products that they handle and trade in, which goes back to the producing organizations, so that those producing organizations, be it coffee cooperatives or be it tea companies, they can be able to reinvest that kind of a fund into any sustainability issues that are touching around the environment or the requirements of the standard, but obviously along the sustainability avenue or pathway. So there is that a traceability system that we've created, in that whatever volumes the brand owners or the blenders handle from certified products, there is a fee that they pay that comes down to the producing organizations that is able to be reinvested into any sustainability agenda. So in terms of other sources of energy for other probably millers, for example, we've also discovered that there is a lot that can be done from any type of waste that comes from any type of milling. I know there are coffee millers here. We've also discovered that even from the coffee husks that are normally wasted and thrown away, which become even an environmental hazard, the same coffee husks can be carbonated, and they form very good sources of carbonated briquettes. And we've also supported in development of standards and guidebooks that can assist in how those kind of materials can be used in terms of biomass energy. And I also know that there is a boiler. Actually, the latest technologies also have developed boilers that can be able to use any type of biomass, not necessarily like dry firewood, but even wet. There is a boiler that has been installed somewhere in Embu for macadamia, and is able to consume any type of waste, be it wet or anything, and they convert that and use it into energy. I also know there is a lot of experiments being done in Kipra that they are using even avocado waste, a lot of this waste even from the markets, that they can be able to be recycled and generate either biogas or some form of energy. So there's a lot that can be done. Thanks.
Just Thank you for a short 1 minute. I want to say something on carbon-free credit. Carbon credit, you earn it when you start a journey with somebody who is financing the business. So if you get a financier, you know, Japan, those who are generating quite a lot of carbon dioxide, they will come in and then you start one journey. If you are doing a solar system, you must first of all start with them so that now you are developing the same program together. When you get now the savings, they will now have as a saving. Number two, I want to look at, you say that you are generating quite a lot of, you're using a lot of energy. If you're using a lot of energy, another source of energy is hydropower. And you need to consider hydropower. Many hydropowers, they are also helping to reduce energy. As an energy manager, that's what I will advise, that you can go for hydropower. We are looking at thermal, and we are looking also at hydrogen. And before we go, because we are remaining with some systems that are using HFO, but we shall replace them with hydrogen, and hydrogen is developed from water using solar systems. So there are so many. If you can come for possibly advice, you can always get the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you so much, panelists, for that. I think we still have time where we can interact after the session with the panelists once we step out of our time.